So after I completed our last transmission, I went to see if Siri would be okay with me haltering her. And all of a sudden, she dropped an awareness for me. And she said, what we really need to do is create a kind of like somewhat of a manifesto, but somewhat like codes of conduct and rules of engagement on if you halter me. Because she said too many people look at horse training with the objective that you get the horse trained, right? But there is not the codes of conduct and ethics and behavior of being respectful and holding the horse in reverence and truly understanding the depth of what you are asking of this being has really, really gotten lost. And so, we focus more on the success of what we're able to accomplish with the horse than we are, honestly, on the horse and how they feel. So Siri said, I want us to establish, rules of engagement for if you harness me or if you halter me. So I will be transmitting right now Siri's codes of conduct and behavior and rules of engagement for if you halter me, so that we have a very clear understanding that if we are going to halter a horse, that we understand what that entails and what it comes with. So, first rule of engagement in haltering: ask, don't tell. Don't slap a halter on a horse because you don't have the time, you don't have the space, and you are not really prepared to take the time it does take to make sure that that horse is okay with what you are doing and how you are doing it, and that you understand what you are doing when you halter a horse. So first is ask. Second is be aware. Be aware that when you decide to take away that animal's freedom for whatever it is you are choosing to do with that animal, you are responsible for that animal for the rest of your life. You don't get to trade out that animal. You don't get to sell that animal. You do not get to treat that animal like a commodity. When you halter a horse, that is your family. And unless you are into selling your family members, you better think about that before you halter that horse. If you halter a horse, rule of engagement number 3, you need to understand, whether you work with an animal communicator or you take animal communication yourself, what that horse came here to do and the purpose that that horse has in your life for helping you understand your own soul on a deeper level. Rule of engagement number 4, if you halter a horse, you need to do so gently. You need to enter that horse's space every time with the utmost respect, knowing that horses have no desire to harm humans unless they have been harmed or unless they have been stolen from their families and humans have treated them incompatibly, that's Siri, with who they truly are. So when you take horses from the wild, understand you rip them apart from their family. You stole their life. It's not something, if they wanted to be born into captivity, they would have been. But they weren't. They were born wild. And for your own greed, you have chosen to take them. And you have chosen to traumatize them. And you have chosen to break up their families. And that carries a big karma with it. And if you are the person that lands up with one of these stolen beings, it is up to you, before you halter this animal, to be in right relationship with yourself and make a commitment to this animal for life. No more nonsense with horse trading and selling. It's ridiculous. Okay? Rule of engagement number 4. Rules of engagement number 5. For haltering a horse. You are to do this in the gentlest way possible. Leave your shit and your traumas and your emotional crap outside of the space that you enter when you are connecting with a horse. They do not need to take on your shit. They have no reason to do, like I said, anything to harm you. But think about who and how you are coming at their face with all of that intensity, trying to get something accomplished, instead of taking it slow and breathing and allowing them the space to have a choice whether they want to haltering them or not. And even if it takes a little longer, you will have a horse that is not necessarily just compliant. You will have a horse that is willing to cooperate with you. And compliance and cooperation are very subtle differences. Compliance means they know something bad could happen if they don't listen to you. Cooperation is they understand that you will wait and have the patience till they give you a yes. And when you receive that with a horse, you have now allowed that horse choice, and nobody has to get dumbed down or just be compliant. How do you feel when you have to be compliant about something versus when you choose cooperation? Rules of engagement number 6 for haltering. The face is a very delicate area on the horse. You have no idea if they have smacked that face against a fence, got kicked, or have fascia tissue compression anywhere. Before you halter that horse, unless they say yes right away, it would be really advisable to work with someone who knows how to release the fascia tissue in the face. You are welcome to connect with me at hello@animalhealer.com. I will help you do that, and we will make the haltering process very, very easy. Rules of engagement for haltering number 7. You are the human here. You have asked this animal to become your personal property, or in some instances become a slave, and in some instances just become your friend. It is up to you to manage yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your awarenesses to provide the best experience possible for this being who has chosen to cooperate with you. Rules of engagement for haltering a horse number 8. It is your responsibility for what happens to that horse for the rest of its life. You don't get to make up excuses. You don't get to bow out. You don't get to say, oh, this horse is not up to my level anymore. I've surpassed this horse. If you're going to halter a horse, you don't get to use it for your simple pleasure. You also are responsible to it for their safekeeping and their care. Rules of engagement number 9 for haltering a horse. You need to be in real integrity with what you're doing. There are too many horses that have been used and abused and loved on and taken care of and then thrown away like garbage. They are conscious, sentient beings who deserve as much respect as you give another human being. And the whole notion of the old notion of having to take the buck out of a horse or to break it. You do not have that right if you're going to put a halter on a horse. If that horse lands up bucking when you're starting that training process, they're either in pain or you haven't done enough groundwork to help that horse be calm and relaxed, and you're missing something. So if the human is the most intelligent species, it's your responsibility to figure it out before you ride. And if you're riding and they start bucking, get the fuck off. Don't make them ride through pain. Don't make them ride through fear. That's not a macho thing. That's actually a stupid thing, which could get you very hurt, could hurt the horse, could shut the horse down. And now you've got a compliant horse that at some point is going to explode. So back up, slow your roll. You're not a freaking hero, and you're not really cool for riding through a bucking horse. You're actually, in my opinion, an idiot. Because again, you could get really hurt, and they could get really hurt. And in all likelihood, they're going to be the one to get blamed. They're going to be the one to get given up. They're going to be the one to get sold. And you're going to be the one that caused and created that karma for that animal. Rule number 10 of engagement when haltering a horse. There is no need to do anything with a horse that involves hitting, smacking. I mean, I understand knee-jerk reaction if a horse bites you, and I understand that response. I'm just saying, in laying down the groundwork for working with horses, especially with wild horses. This is a process that can be done so gently, but it takes patience, it takes commitment, it takes willingness to be able to see your own crap and what you might be projecting on this animal. It takes time to really get into feeling what this animal is telling you and sharing with you, because this never has to be a process of adversity. And you don't get to do whatever you want. You get to ask, you get to listen, and you get to respond respectfully. And maybe it'll take a lot longer than 90 days. And quite honestly, I don't believe that 90-day Mustangs will never have problems. But you need to respect the fact that this is a wild animal, and even domesticated horses. You need to respect that this is a conscious, sentient being who has an awareness of their body, of their life, of their needs. And if you halter a horse, you are responsible for understanding what those are. Siri, is that complete? She said it's complete for now, but we will be adding on things. Okay, so that's pretty powerful. I mean, I never had the awareness to draw forth that, like those codes of conduct or behavior. And it's interesting because as Siri is standing with the halter kind of like underneath her chin and the lead rope over her shoulders, Shadow has come in, and then Butch and Terrence. And Butch and Terrence are two geldings. I think Butchie's probably about 6 or 7, and I think Terrence is about 4 or 5. But one of the reasons why I really like setting up the pen where the other horses can gather around and see is because they not only get to see the process, but they get to actually feel the energy of working in the chi field and how gentle this can be and how gentle it can be for them. And then they get to decide if they want to take part in that haltering process. Thank you, Siri, for sharing that with me and for everybody, because I think this is really where horse training actually has to go. And I'm pretty sure that this is the way a lot of the indigenous cultures have worked with horses. They live with them and then they do things in a pretty gentle way. So there's really an incredible bond and a synergy. So hopefully this will help. And if it has, and if you become aware of different things, please let me know in the comments below.